Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Heavily Contested Hoops podcast. My name is Peyton Mitchell, and we have a lot of things to break down today, mainly with the new head coaches that we are seeing and the firings and the possibility of people moving on. So let's go ahead and get right into it with USF fans. You do not have to worry any longer. USF is hiring Chris Mack from the College of Charleston. Chris Mack comes in with a record of 323 and 153 losses. Now, he has had previous stops at Xavier and Louisville. Now, he has had 12 20-win seasons after his most recent one here this year with the College of Charleston, and he was the 2016 National Coach of the Year. He brought Xavier to the Elite Eight and 4 Sweet 16 appearances. Now, it's safe to say that USF fans do not have to worry. We know they were all worried about Brian Hodgson leaving, but now you can take a step back and breathe because now you have Chris Mack, a guy who has absolutely done nothing but winning. I know at that time at the end of Louisville, there was some controversy of his resume blemishing, but hey, he went to College of Charleston and absolutely won there, didn't turn back, and now is about to parlay that into USF. And we're going to see another good year next year, most likely, out of USF. And who knows out of that conference what's going to bring. But USF is already, right now, my favorite to win that league again. So now let's talk about the biggest news that broke yesterday, and you might have seen it on my TikTok. Hubert Davis has been fired from the University of North Carolina. Now, let's go ahead and take a step back and talk about let's take a step back and see, is this the right move from them? In my opinion, this needed to be done. And everything that we say that this needed to be done is not by what his record ends up beginning to look at when you look at it and compare it to other coaches of this time. He has 125 wins and 54 losses at UNC over his 5 years there. In the last 5 years, Tom Izzo is 121 and 55. And one of those years that Hubert Davis was there as the head coach of the Tar Heels, he beat Michigan State in the round of 32. That's what it is. Got to spit it out. Hubert has 4 NCAA tournament appearances under his belt. As we know, his first year was the magical run. He beat Coach K in his final game at Cameron. He beat him in the final game in the Final Four, in a Final Four that they were not supposed to be in. So he has that Final Four appearance. He has that national championship appearance. But from that moment on, after they beat Duke, this is the UNC team that we began to see time and time again under Hubert Davis. They blow a 15-point lead in the national championship. Next year, they have everybody come back, AP preseason number 1, and they do not get the job done. This might be like the worst. If this year did not happen, Hubert Davis is probably still the head coach of the North Carolina Tar Heels. But then next year, he has his best team, and they go out in the Sweet 16 in a game that they definitely should have won, because we see that there might be that one shot by Jalen Withers that you're going to keep coming back to, and it's like, what if he made that shot? Well, or actually, let's not even talk what if he made that shot. What if he didn't take that shot, because of the fact that you see it time and time again that the players don't really think under Hubert Davis. It's not a well-coached squad, well-oiled machine for any Hubert Davis team that we've seen. They lose games that they should not. They blow leads and end up losing, or they blow leads and make games close that should never be close at all. So then after that Sweet 16 loss to Alabama, you follow that up with 2 first-round exits. 2 first-round exits. And one of those years you played in the first 4. That is not the standard of Carolina basketball, and it never will be. So that's exactly why he is being let go. The standard is to win late in March and win the ACC tournament, which was not done. Yes, they won a regular season, but that doesn't matter. When you look at who won the ACC, nobody cares who won the regular season when it comes March, because once you get in the tournament, nobody cares who's the best, who won the regular season then either. It's all about your conference tournament champs get the automatic bid. That is what counts of who wins and what you can put under your belt as to why it matters when you come to judge success into whether you should be fired or not. That is exactly why I think we saw Hubert Davis fired yesterday, last night, to see that happen. And now we get to talk about who gets to come take over the reins at North Carolina. Now, as you can say, based off of this first and highly likely person, we're going to take one more quick step back to Hubert Davis here. Was Hubert Davis thrown into an absolute fire of a situation that was going to be difficult to fully get the job done right away? In a new era where when all Hubert had known coming up was UNC this, blah, blah, blah. Everything, the typical standard of what college basketball is changed right about the time that Hubert Davis began to take over of the Tar Heels. So did they fully figure out the NIL deal? No, they did not. But there were times that they were in games like this year that they should have won. They should have never lost that 19-point lead to a VCU team. You can't blame that on NIL. That is not the reason. Yeah, you can blame it on Caleb Wilson, but you won games without Caleb Wilson. I mean, I don't know how you lost to a hurt Clemson team without a center, because that is times that Hubert Davis needs to get his team prepared, and that is why what led them down the road to fire him. There were no accolades to show for the job he had done. Now, the question is, who's next in charge? Now, let's go ahead and start with the guy that I would personally go after if I were the Tar Heels. Now, my guy that I would pick is TJ Otzelberger. He only has a $4 million buyout, and he is doing great things at Iowa State right now. Has them in the Sweet 16. They are looking amazing. And he is doing that with less. Iowa State is not Carolina. The brand of Carolina is going to push that to the next level 100%. There's no denying it. Some can say right now, Carolina is the best job on the market and to ever have. Because if you compare it to Duke, Duke is an amazing job. You cannot get me wrong. But the part of Duke is they are always going to keep it in the family. There's the thing about the brotherhood. They will never go out of the family. Carolina has a chance now to 100% go out of the family. Because honestly, who are you going to pick up inside of the family? You have no one to go into the family. So now, right now, we're hearing that TJ Otzelberger has never been the guy for them to reach out and for him to go to that job. So that's why we're saying now we're going to have to look aside from TJ Otzelberger, who I think is the 100% the case to be that guy. But now the fact that TJ Otzelberger is maybe off the table due to what he said, to where he is in no contention for this job and UNC has not reached out, this brings it to the guy that when you look at the odds, the favorite is Billy Donovan. The favorite right now is Billy Donovan. Yes, he won at Florida back-to-back championships. Okay, congrats. But then he went to the NBA. And that was way, 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 way before the introduction of NIL. The reason I don't think Billy Donovan needs to be the guy that they are pursuing, that is what it is sounding like they are pursuing, is because there's no chance this guy is going to want to deal with the NIL stuff. But they're in such a bad situation in Chicago right now with whatever they decided to do. I have no idea. They have boatloads upon boatloads of guards. I mean, they traded a guard for a guard. Like, I don't know what they were doing. Like, they have guard upon guard upon guard upon guard upon guard. You go all the way down the list. They have nothing but guards in Chicago for the Bulls. So, honestly, if I'm in that situation for Billy Donovan, I'll deal with the NIL situation and get me out of there. I am not winning. I am not even close to a play-in game right now. that there's no reason for me to want to stay here in Chicago with absolutely no future. So honestly, it's not a bad hire. I just don't think that if it didn't work out with Hubert before, you're kind of going down the same path in this situation. But hey, if Billy Donovan gets it done, what am I to say? Even though I don't think this is it's not the number one option. I'll say this, it's not the number one option, but it's not a bad option. I can say it's not a bad option, especially if Donovan wants it. If Donovan wants it, it's probably the best option. But if he's just being told by his camp that this is what needs to be done for himself, then it's probably not the greatest thing that needs to be done. So other than that, those are the two candidates right now that one is the favorite and the one that I would personally want to see at Carolina if I were a diehard Carolina fan. But hey, go ahead, throw them out in the comments what you think, and we'll see in the next few weeks, honestly. I don't know if you go the TJ Otzelberger way, are you willing to wait until they lose in the tournament? Are you trying to find a guy to poach him from another school and bring him over? It just depends. I mean, Billy Donovan, you're going to get him from the NBA, and they're so bad that it doesn't matter that you'll get him right away and fully go into the transfer portal season. But Billy Donovan's going to have to learn a lot about the transfer portal and NIL that he did not have to do before. So there's a timeline we don't really have a clue. I mean, at this case, you want to do it in the next few weeks, in the next week if you can do it, because any time wasted is not going to be good. But those are the two candidates right now, Billy Donovan and TJ Otzelberger. Now, we're talking about, as I just mentioned, poaching from another school. This one right here that we're talking about is going to be insane if it happens. This is going to leave North Carolina State in shambles. Will Wade might leave NC State for LSU. The fact that this is even a conversation right now is mind-blowing to me. LSU, Will Wade was at LSU, as most of us should know, but then he violated some NCAA rules, which ultimately led him to McNeese, where he won the past 2 seasons in the Southland Conference, and which led him to NC State. But now here's where the things come in to why Will Wade might go to LSU. LSU is working to hire McNeese's Heath Schroyer as a senior admin in the athletics department, and the president of LSU is what's his name? His name is Wade Rousseau, who previously hired Will Wade at McNeese. So there's whoever is breaking this news. Hey, that's doing some really good digging, and who knows? I mean, I don't blame Will Wade, but I also am not surprised that Will Wade would leave in a way like this, just like Lane Kiffin just left. LSU has the money in a game that is driven by money now. But there's a problem right now. The LSU job isn't even open. Firing their current coach of Matt McMahon is that you would have to pay him $8 million. I mean, that's honestly nothing for LSU right now. And the case to fire him is not a difficult one to have. I mean, he's been 60-7 in the past 4 seasons, and he's only had one of those years that he's been over 500, and that was 2023-24 season where he was 17-16. It is not off the table to fire this guy right now. I mean, he came from Murray State and did really well there, but he has not got the job done while being at LSU his past 4 seasons. So now let's talk about if Will Wade leaves. If Will Wade leaves, he'll owe the Wolfpack $5 million if he leaves before or on April 1st. He owes $5 million to the Wolfpack. If he leaves after that date, it's only $3 million. So this guy has talked about the future. Just the past week, he was like, that job's not even open. That job's not even open. Why would you even talk to me? I just had a meeting with our administration about the future and what we need to get done this year. If he leaves, he is an absolute snake. He is more of a snake than Lane Kiffin is. I think this would be bigger of a snake job than Lane Kiffin's leaving of LSU to Ole Miss during the college football season. I mean, Lane Kiffin's was a snake move for that one to leave in the middle of the playoff run, especially when were in the playoffs and go into the semifinals. Ended up going to the semifinals because it was not predetermined then. He decided to leave before that. That's an absolute snake move if this one happens. But hey, NC State fans, let's be honest. Will Wade has not been that accountable this year in his press conference. In his press conferences, it was awful. They were bad to see. He was complaining about almost everything about his team, but never worked to get his team better. He would always talk about Darren Williams does not need to be criticized for his lack of performance when he was the ACC preseason player of the year in the conference, and then he had an absolute down year. You could say he wasn't their best player. Their best player was Quadir Copeland, who was their most consistent player by far. So after all that, after they beat a UNC Henry Visar and Caleb Wilson-less squad, that team thought it was their national championship. They did not play good the rest of the way down the stretch, and it ultimately led that way into the first four to see an exit out of the play-in, to where most people are saying you can't even count that as a tournament appearance, even though they do for the case of the 16 seeds that play in Dayton. So honestly, NC State, I would have mixed feelings on that. As a fan, I would be absolutely livid because he came in being like he's going to be this guy and they're going to turn it around. So, and he was being given this money, and this year was a bad year. This was a terrible year for NC State, but if he does this is an absolute snake of a situation. So now let's go ahead and move to my school. Jerry McNamara was hired at Syracuse in the past week. Obviously, he played at Syracuse for 4 years and won the only national championship in 2003 alongside Carmelo Anthony. Now, he absolutely did just bring Siena back from the dead. 2 years ago, they just had 4 wins. So the fact that he turned that squad around in 2 years and made a run into the tournament and got to the NCAA tournament by winning the MAAC is an absolute impressive job that Jerry McNamara has done with that squad. Now, this is what I think got him the job. One, the fact that did anyone really want this job? As we can say, Brian Hodgson used Syracuse as a tool to bump the price up at Providence. That was 100% used. Josh Schertz did not want to, ended up signing an extension at St. Louis when that was out there that Syracuse was going to pursue him. So now we're in the Jerry McNamara era where he absolutely competed with Duke in the first round, and that is ultimately why I think he got that job. So now let's talk about who should they keep and who should Jerry McNamara bring with him. I mean, obviously the first person you have to bring is Gavin Doty. He just announced that he plans to enter the portal today. He averaged 18 points per game, and he had 21 points in the NCAA tournament against Duke, and he played every single minute of that game. This is a guy that will help turn the program around, and this is a guy that can shoot it, can pass it, can score it at all 3 levels, and play defense. Syracuse fans, as well as myself, will be absolutely happy to see Gavin Doty in orange next year. Now, here's a guy that I think is also a must-get. Francis Folfak is an absolute stud. He was a freshman last year, averaged 11 points per game. He had 18 points against Duke, and he's a 6'7" forward. Throw that into a Cuse lineup. He's going to get the job done any day of the week. That is a guy I feel like GMAC has to get to flip over and come to Syracuse next year. Now, this is the guy that needs to decommit from Siena and follow GMAC back home to Syracuse. The guy that they have coming is a 4-star. His name's Ryan Mush, and he's a freshman, or he'll be an incoming freshman. To have those 3 guys follow GMAC with him would be what they would already have at Siena, and that's their 3. That you come to Syracuse, now you're going to be able to add bigger names because it's a bigger school. Now, I'm gonna say it. There's no way Cayenne is not gonna play for GMAC, especially since GMAC played with Carmelo Anthony and won the only national championship. That is a no-brainer. Cayenne is gonna stay, in my opinion. If I'm wrong, come at me. It's okay. I don't see it happening. There's no way it happens. The other guy that needs to stay is Sadiq White. He was not used good at all this year. I want to see what kind of leap he can make in year two after the short glimpses of being great that we did see from him under a squad that we know it was not coached very well. Sadiq White is going to need to have some playing time, and I think this is a guy that will push the Orange to the next level if he is able to stay in Syracuse. So now those are the guys that I think GMAC has to keep. And then, hey, let him go to work in the portal. Anything can happen in the portal. We'll see what money they can get and throw at these guys in the portal. But GMAC has a chance to put together a good squad based off what he had coming in, and what is still at Syracuse that we don't know what is going to happen with them. But I think it's a priority that you have to keep Sadiq White. Everyone else, so be it. Goodbye. Now let's move to this hard conversation that we have. Has the time of the ACC fallen off? Is the ACC not what we used to think it is? Has football ruined it? Honestly, right now there's a case that you can say football has ruined the ACC basketball conference as being the best basketball conference in America right now. Right now, if you look at the last 16 teams remaining, we have one team from the ACC, and that is the number one overall seed, the Duke Blue Devils. And the Duke Blue Devils out of Durham, North Carolina, are absolutely running the ACC right now. They won football, they won men's and women's basketball. Those are your big three, and they won them all this year, especially once they won men's and women's basketball last year. So they're on a five-peat of winning the three major sports, and there's nothing that is being done about it. And that's why we are seeing them go far in basketball, because these teams have the money. They are finding ways to win when the time's needed. And Duke basketball is never going to be bad, especially when they get that much money poured into them. There's no reason. If the day comes that Duke is bad at basketball, I'm not alive, because there's no way that's ever going to happen. Now we got two teams from the Big East. So we got one from the ACC. We got two from the Big East, 6 from the Big 10, 3 from the Big 12, and 4 from the SEC. Now, there's a glaring thing that sticks out to me. The Big 10 has won the last 3 national championships. They have 6 schools in the Sweet 16. They will have Nebraska play Iowa, and then they have Illinois, Michigan, Purdue, Michigan State, and I'm missing one more, but hey, it'll come to me later. So those are those 6. And honestly, the team that won the football isn't even in the basketball tournament. So that's throwing everything off to begin with. I don't know why Indiana could be good at football, but not basketball anymore. Kurt Cignetti has done amazing things over there for that program. Now we just need Indiana basketball to be restored to national prominence. But now, as we looked going into this year, there were 8 really, really, really good squads. And yes, these 8 teams did end up making the tournament. You had the third most teams out of any conference in the tournament, but you should be right there at 1 or 2 every year as the ACC. And this is where I say, has the ACC fallen off? I will say at the beginning of the year, the ACC is what we thought it was. Come down the stretch, the ACC is what we saw last year from them. So SMU, we have complete beef now. We're not even going to consider them an ACC school right now. But they absolutely lied to get their way into the first 4 in Dayton by saying BJ Edwards will be available. The rules are going to have to change on that. SMU, that was an absolute disgrace, and then a disgrace of a performance in the first 4. NC State, awful. The worst we'd ever seen down the stretch. The fact that they ended up winning 2 games in the last 9 or whatever it was, they were awful. That team was a shell of themselves. I don't know what Will Wade had going on there. Maybe Will Wade was already packing his bags to go to Baton Rouge. And then UNC, I mean, we know Caleb Wilson got hurt. We can always point, what if Caleb Wilson got hurt? But it's always a next man up mentality. and they blow a 19-point lead to VCU in the first round of the NCAA tournament. But they also lost to a Clemson team who was missing Carter Welling due to an ACL tear, which was by far their best player this year. So the fact that you lost to a hurt Clemson squad, who is the reason why I can say Clemson, you can't really fully hold that against them. I think they beat Iowa if they're able to rebound down low by having Carter Welling. But UNC also was not what we wanted to see from them. They were supposed to be the next. They were supposed to compete with Duke for the championship, and we didn't even get to see that in the tournament. Louisville was underwhelming all year. I thought this Pat Kelsey team was going to be really good. I feel like this is a lot of the blame can fall on Michael Brown Jr.'s shoulders of was he hurt, was he not hurt, does he want to play, does he not want to play type things. I mean, in the 21 games that he played, he was absolute amazing to watch. So that's what we could say about that one. Miami was great this year. This is where the teams I'm going to talk about. These teams were great this year. Miami, the expectations from last year to this year, there was not much you could do to say, oh, this is going to be a team to make a run in the tournament. No, but Trey Donaldson, Malik Renew, they played an absolute heck of a game. Ran into a great Purdue team that we cannot hold that against them. These three teams really held it up for the ACC. Then Virginia, the 3 seed for them, ACC runner-ups, lost to a Tennessee team that despite a few things here and there, cold shooting early, injuries at the end, a tough SEC conference. Tennessee was a really, really, really good basketball team that Virginia just happened to have to play in round 2. Ryan Odom and Jay Lucas did great respective jobs in their first year at the helm in their respective institutions. And Duke's Duke. They're still number 1. They're there. And they're still playing. They're gonna have a tough one this week against who are they playing? I'm blanking on who they're playing now. Duke is playing St. John's. There we go. About time I got it. They're playing St. John's. So, I mean, I think they're going to roll through that one in their first match. Their first tough one was Siena, who's now GMAC squad at Syracuse. So hopefully he brings them back. We're going to look back and say that Siena team held this Duke team on the ropes. And then let's just talk about the bottom of the ACC from this year. Syracuse, BC, Pitt, Notre Dame. I mean, Stanford, Cal, they had a chance to make a case, and then that was just awful. Wake Forest, so underwhelming. Like, that was just awful to see. I was so high. I was like, the ACC is back. Even though, did we ever leave after last year? Like, did you leave after 1 year? That's 1 year hiatus. No, that's 2-year hiatus. This was disappointing. We are lucky. The ACC is lucky that we got to see them play good early in the year. Because if that did not happen, that would be like 3 teams in the tournament of Duke, Virginia, and Miami. So the ACC hasn't really fallen off. I just think, and the game is changing, and more money is going to have to be poured into these schools to be able to compete. That way, the SEC and the Big Ten do not break away and form their own thing like Greg Skanke wants to do. But now let's go ahead and move on to another head coaching hire that we saw. St. Mary's head coach Randy Bennett is going to Arizona State, baby. What a hire for Arizona State after 11 years with Bobby Hurley. That was just almost, at the end of the day, you can say disappointing. So this is a great pickup for the Sun Devils down in Tempe, Arizona. Randy Bennett was at St. Mary's for 25 years. He has won a share or the title of the West Coast Conference during the regular season in 4 straight years. He has 12 straight NCAA tournament appearances. Now, let's talk about for the Randy Bennett perspective of why this is a good move. Gonzaga is leaving the West Coast Conference for the Pac-12. So now that your best team and best competition and your rival is gone, what is the reason that you think anyone is going to respect your team? They're not. You're not going to be respected. You're not going to be respected in this situation when you don't, like, you already weren't respected. The fact if you don't lose if you don't lose to Santa Clara in the tournament, then that's only a two-bid league with you and St. Mary's and Gonzaga. So now that Gonzaga is leaving, this is only going to be a one-bid league. This is a one-big league. So Randy Bennett got out of there. This is a great chance. Now, Arizona State, that's where he grew up. He's from Arizona and he watched ASU. So he's familiar with this school. That is a great thing to know for him to bring that culture and change and make that shift and turn it around. But now, let's say, what does this do to St. Mary's? Absolutely nothing with Gonzaga leaving. This almost makes it easier for you. You don't have to lose. Santa Clara is going to be tough. That is now your new competition, but you should run this conference every year. And you are now Gonzaga of the West Coast Conference. You are the top team to beat that everyone is gunning for you. You're supposed to win every single tournament, or you're supposed to win every single year for this one. And you hired Mickey McConnell as the replacement, who played under Bennett for 4 years and has been on staff since 2019. So St. Mary's has not taken a step back at all, and almost you can say that they have taken a step forward into the fact that we might see St. Mary's every single year until the end of time. Now, let's move off to the last head coaching hire that we're going to talk about real quick. Cincinnati is hiring Utah State's head coach, Jared Calhoun. This is a guy who all he does is win. It's like DJ Khaled said, all I do is win, 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 no matter what. Yeah, that's what this guy does. He's fresh off an NCAA tournament appearance and a first-round win over Villanova. He has a 297 wins and 159, and that's his career record with 159 losses. He's won in 3 different conferences, one of them being D2, and he was the 2026 Mountain West and the 2023 Horizon League Coach of the Year, and he's had 20-win seasons. And let me also say one thing. The Randy Bennett move, that's a great move for him because now he is also in the best conference in basketball is the Big 12, as we can arguably say right now with no counter argument to that take. The Big 12 is the best conference in basketball by far. And hey, the commissioner said it might be the second best league in the world behind the NBA. So the Big 12, that's why it's a great move for Jared Calhoun. Big 12's great. You want to play there every year. And the fact that the Mountain West has been disrespected every year and is probably just a one-bid league after the time of what we saw with them, New Mexico, this year as being a really, really good record. And yeah, they had to win the conference tournament to get into the dance. And at the end, like I said, all this guy does is win. I won't be surprised if we see Cincinnati in the dance next year because that's what he does. He does not lose. He wins, 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 and wins some more. Now, let's keep that thought of winning and think who can win the tournament now based off of the Week 6 top 12 AP poll rule. So every year since 2004, the winner of the national championship has come from the top 12 of the Week 6 AP poll. Now, half of the teams left in the Sweet 16 are able to win this game or win the championship now. You got Arizona, you got Michigan, you got Duke, you got Iowa State, you got UConn, you got Purdue, you got Michigan State, and you have Alabama. Now, Michigan State has to play UConn, so that'll get us down to another team. And then no one else has to play, no one else has to play anybody, but Iowa State would have to play Michigan. Let's see, who else would have to play each other? Purdue would have to play. No, Purdue would have had to play Florida, I'm pretty sure. So there's going to be a chance that you're going to see 4 Final Four teams as coming from being in the top 12 in the Week 6 AP poll. So eight teams were, 8 teams weren't. Is the streak going to end? In this case, looking at this list right now, Arizona, Michigan, Duke, Iowa State, UConn, Purdue, Michigan State, Alabama. This is not going to happen. The streak is going to live on, and we're going to look next year to see if this streak ends. The team that had the best chance of ending this drought was going to be number 1 Florida, who just lost to Iowa this past weekend. And now let's talk about myself for a second. The thing I'm having to do now is the survivor pick, so I've made it to the second weekend, and I have to pick a team that is going to win. I started off the first day, and I picked. Actually, I don't even know who I picked. I don't remember. I picked Vanderbilt. I picked Vanderbilt day one. Then I picked. Oh no, I might have no. So I picked Vanderbilt, St. John's, Vanderbilt, St. John's, someone else, and then maybe Tennessee. I don't even remember, but I know that's why it doesn't matter. Now I'm picking Iowa State because that is. Oh, I picked Illinois one of those days. Illinois was my latest one that I picked for the last week, for the last day. So Iowa State, that is my pick for this weekend. They are going to roll on through Tennessee this time. I think they're going to be too much for this Tennessee squad. Like we said, they were disrespected as 6th seed, but as a 3 seed, I feel like they were very easily able to get to that 3 line, but I don't think that it was possible for them to beat the 2 seed of Iowa State. Like I said earlier, TJ Altenberger, that's the guy I would want to lead my team right now if I was a fan, but it was never going to happen at Syracuse. So hey, Iowa State's going to be my pick in the survivor bracket. But that does it for this episode of the Heavily Contested Hoops podcast. My name is Peyton Mitchell. Make sure to tune in on TikTok and Spotify and YouTube. Continue watching wherever you get your news and whatever you want to call this right now. I don't even know your college basketball fix. But that does it for this week. So tune in next time for another episode. We're going to try to do 2 a week.